Good evening. I would like to call to order the Stanley County Schools Board of Education meeting for November 5th, 2024. Welcome to those of you attending and to those of you watching via live stream. Thank you for your support of Stanley County Schools. Tonight, Ms. Vicki Watson is going to lead us in our invocation and pledge.
Heavenly Father, I come to you with a most gracious heart. I ask that you lead us in making the best decisions for our Stanley County students and staff. We ask that you help the many people that were affected by the storm Helene. Please be with the families of students we have lost. Our decisions are made for our students that will be our leaders of tomorrow. And I ask these things in thy name. Amen.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. Up first on our agenda tonight is recognitions. We'll start with Stanley Stars.
Good evening. This evening I would like to ask Mr. Ubaldo to come and join me at the podium. Mr. Ubaldo exemplifies what it means to be a positive force in our school community. Every day he fosters a love for language and culture in his students through innovative lessons, patience, and enthusiasm. He is well loved by his Spanish students, and his classroom exudes engagement. He exhibits grace with high expectations and accountability. What truly sets him apart is his unwavering commitment to teamwork. He teaches 2 blocks at STEM and 2 blocks at Stanley Early College. Whether collaborating with fellow teachers to create cross-curricular experiences or supporting students beyond the classroom, Mr. Ubaldo is always ready to lend a hand with a positive attitude and smile. He embodies the spirit of collaboration and teamwork, bringing out the best in all who work alongside him. We are grateful for his dedication and the joy he brings to our schools. Please give Mr. Ubaldo a round of applause. Next, I'd like to ask Donna Carruthers to meet me at the podium. Ms. Carruthers is one of our most cherished and dedicated school community members. As the second longest standing staff member, Ms. Carruthers has been the heart of the Stanley Early College since 2007, offering support, guidance, and a warm, approachable demeanor to every student, family member, and staff member who cross her path. She is an invaluable part of their daily operations and a beloved figure in the school, providing comfort and wisdom to countless students and staff over the years, making them feel at home in our halls. From handling financial processes precisely to creating a welcoming presence, she has established an impactful legacy of support, and we are grateful for her unwavering commitment to our school community. Thank you. At this time, will Miss Leanne Thompson meet us at the podium? Ms. Thompson is a 7th grade English language arts teacher at South Stanley Middle School, and she consistently puts in great effort to inspire and engage her students, fostering a love for learning in the classroom. She develops strong, lasting connections with her students and takes pride in their personal development and academic success. As a dedicated member of the school improvement team and leader of South Stanley's highly successful Battle of the Books team, Mrs. Thompson makes South Stanley Middle School a better place. Please give her a round of applause. And last this evening, but certainly not least, I would like to invite Officer Joseph Wagner to the podium. Officer Wagner is the school resource officer at South Stanley Middle School. He is a model for what all school resource officers should aspire to be. He fosters strong, lasting relationships with both students and staff, genuinely caring about their well-being and always wanting the best for them. He is an essential member of the South Stanley Middle School family, and we appreciate him more than words can express. Please give him a round of applause.
And if all four of our Stanley Stars will come up, we can come down and shake your hands and recognize you guys.
And where?
You're going to go right across the
Right.
front there.
Right there and do an about face.
Next on our list of recognitions tonight are our Buncombe County volunteers.
Thank you, Madam Chair, members of the board. We had some volunteers, and I'm going to read something that'll give a little more context in a minute, but we had 3 volunteers that were, and, you know, we asked, I guess the genesis of whatever, you know, we had a lot of devastation in the western end, and one of the superintendents, Mr. Rob Jackson of the Buncombe County School System, had asked if there were some volunteers that could come up from any of the districts across the state to help them reintegrate their children and their staff into school. And so we sent it out, and I know for the ones that could, and I know that some couldn't, but we did have 3 who answered the call or were able to answer the call. The 3 that answered the call was Miss Abigail Broyhill, Miss Beth Pinto, and Miss Tracy Swearingen. If any of them are here, if they'd please come up front. So they can probably tell you some more about it, but they went in to assist, and you went in to assist as the school reopened for the staff and the students to make yourself available as they transition back. Would you like to speak of your experience at all a little bit?
I was not prepared.
I know, I like
guess
putting people in the spot.
I was very lucky to have the opportunity, more so for myself, to be able to go and be with the students and the teachers. Because if that was our district, I would hope that people would come run into to help us.
Yeah.
So it was very sad, but it was also it was very sweet and encouraging. And children are so resilient. So.
Well, from Mr. Rob Jackson, or Dr. Rob Jackson for that matter, had put out an email to all the superintendents. He had sent me some emails, and the emails of ones kind of given the the logistics of how everything would work, but he summed this up, and this email was sent October 27th. He said, as we continue to navigate the aftermath of Hurricane Helene, I want to take a moment to express my heartfelt gratitude for the incredible support that's been extended to our school system during the challenging time. The generous response by 52 school systems in sending 263 school counselors and social workers to assist our students and teachers upon their return to school made a profound difference. 14 additional school counselors and school workers from 9 school systems will be assisted in the coming weeks, and the schools are the greatest need. And he wanted to thank all those school systems. Of course, I was proud to say that Stanley County Schools was listed. And he goes on to say that the collaborative spirit and unity demonstrated by school districts across our state, from the mountains to the coast, highlight the strength of our public schools. Together, we have shown that we are more than just individual districts. We are a family dedicated to the welfare and success of our students. The support you offered has reinforced the importance of solidarity in the face of adversity. I am hopeful that all you joined us are able to return and share your experiences, given the opportunity to review school system plans for approaching a natural disaster. I'm also hopeful that should another school system find itself with the need to borrow staff members in the event that emergencies happen, that we have the opportunity to pay for this incredible gift that we have received. Thank you once again for your kindness and generosity. We're deeply appreciative of your commitment to ensuring that all students and staff receive the support they need during this recovery process. We're extremely grateful for all those who donated supplies to school systems throughout the Carolinas. I'm proud to be your teammate and humbled by your generosity, grace, and strength. Thank you so much. They're going to want to shake your hand. Thank you, Ms. Broyle. All right, next we have the National ESEA Distinguished School Award.
Good evening. Thank you, Madam Chair, members of the board. On October 23rd, the North Carolina Association of Federal Education Program Administrators proudly recognized Central Elementary School for being named a 2023-2024 ESEA Distinguished School. This honor recognizes their success in closing achievement gaps among student groups for 2 consecutive years. The National Title I Distinguished Schools Program celebrates outstanding Title I schools that hold students to high standards and demonstrate excellence in several areas, including rigorous teaching and learning aligned with the state curriculum, research-based instructional practices, providing equitable opportunities for all students, building strong partnerships with parents, families, and the community, ongoing research-based professional development, and innovative practices that serve as a model for other schools. Central Elementary School will receive $12,500 to attend the National ESEA Conference in the spring, where they will represent North Carolina on the national stage. Please join me in congratulating Dr. Eric Johnson and the hardworking staff, students, and families of Central Elementary School.
Awesome. Thank you. Yeah. Come on, guys. No, don't be shy. Get around the banner. That's why we brought the banner. Everybody get in. Come on. I'll let somebody else in. Maybe there's someone shorter. Want to hold the banner? And I'll go in the back. Of course. Of course. Act like we work together.
Is that close enough?
Your arm will blend in with this one. You'll be okay.
Yeah, if you'll have all of them, guys, come back up this way so we can shake your hand and thank you, please. Can't leave just yet.
It's an amazing accomplishment for the students and staff of Central Elementary School. I know they'll represent us well at the national conference. Next, I would like to call up Miss Brooke Davis in recognizing an inclusive school initiative.
And Ms. Davis, I just wanted to say something before you started. I had asked that they bring you in tonight because I had heard about what you were doing from some parents and grandparents at the school, and having a child in the EC department, it just kind of really hit home to me because that's not really part of your job duties per se. So I wanted to ask you to come in and kind of explain what you were doing and just thank you for going above and beyond in your school.
Well, I appreciate you saying that. To be honest, I was a little shocked when I got the email because I assumed that I was doing what everybody's doing, right? Like what I should be doing. I'm sorry. So I'll be glad to talk about a little bit about what we're doing at Richfield. But like I said, it's what everybody should be doing. I thought what everybody was doing. And it definitely takes a team. So I brought Miss Blevins and not anybody else. But a lot of other people have ideas, and they're great ideas, and so I can't take credit for them. I just kind of, work with them to make it happen. So we at Richfield are we call the EC Hub. So we have 2 self-contained classes for the mild and moderate students of the northern end. And we like to include them as much as possible in anything and everything that we do so that they not only feel included but supported. This year we have started a coffee cart with Miss Blevins' class. She has some of the more severe and profound disability students in her classroom, and they offer coffee to our teachers every Friday as a fundraiser. So they charge $1 for coffee and sweets, and then all of that money in turn goes back to the EC program for them to purchase things for their classroom. The other class, Miss Nelson's class, she could not be here tonight. We started making buttons with their class. We had a donor donate a button machine to the classroom, and they sell buttons for $1. Again, it goes back to the EC program. The first buttons they made, though, were breast cancer awareness buttons, and they actually donated that money to Millenport in honor of one of their teachers. So that's been really cool. We have several other things that we're in the process of working on. Miss Kathy has graciously put up we have several students that are hearing impaired or nonverbal, and she has put up signs around the school that some of you guys may have seen yesterday when you were there, teaching sign language. So it's not only good for the teachers, actually, to be able to communicate with all of our students, but other students, both verbal and nonverbal, are learning some signs throughout the school, and it's basic communication signs like office, bathroom, please, thank you, good morning, and the days of the week, basic signs that students that are verbal can communicate with our nonverbal students. Along with that, we are working on getting a choice board put up on the playgrounds.
Like a core board.
Core board is
a
the
core-
word you use. Core
which
board.
is a kind of made of a collage of smaller pictures to make a large picture. So it could have like swing, push, yes, no, help, so that the children can go up to the board and kind of point to whatever word that they want to say.
So our nonverbal students, a lot of times, a lot of their frustration comes out of not being able to tell us what they want, or not being able to communicate with us. So that really helps, things like that throughout the school. But on the playground, they can go up and kind of point to us and tell us what they want to do. And we're also, our PTO is purchasing a handicap swing for the playground. So students that are, we have several students that are disabled that are able to participate out there as well. But again, these are just things that we just do naturally, I feel like, but I appreciate you guys recognizing that and recognizing my staff and the community that it takes to make it happen.
Yeah, we are very excited. This is my 8th year with Stanley County, and also I have been in self-contained the whole 8 years. Been at multiple schools and never been, recognized to this stature. So it's very exciting. Self-contained. I feel like we're often kind of forgotten because we're not the majority, but we do work really, really hard. So thank you very much for the recognition.
Absolutely.
Thank you. Thank you for what you're doing. I don't know if any other board members have any comments you would like to make or questions or anything. Okay. Thank you so much.
Yes. One last thing I forgot to mention, November 16th is actually National San Felipe Awareness
Syndrome.
Day, but we're going to celebrate it on the 15th. So if any of you want to wear purple on November 15th, or any other schools out there, if you will wear purple for San Felipe Awareness, one of our students does have that very rare condition. So we're going to raise awareness for her if you guys want to join us. All right.
And I noticed Miss Sanborn's here tonight. Did you have anything you wanted to say or comment or anything? Not to put you on the spot.
She refused to come up
I
here.
always talk about kids with disabilities. I taught kids with disabilities before I retired, and I am just so amazed with what Ms. Davis is doing at Richfield. I have a grandson who's there, who's profoundly deaf and has a lot of other concerns, and she has embraced him. The school has embraced him. They've embraced these classrooms. And you don't see that very often. So I think you all need to appreciate what you have in Ms. Davis as a leader.
Oh, thank you. Yeah.
Thank you, and thank you for coming to support tonight. Yeah, if you guys will come up, we'll congratulate you.
Absolutely.
Thank you. Yeah, Ms. Davis and her staff do an amazing job. We just finished QAI where we went through and did an assessment of their academics and their culture and their environment at our school, and it was outstanding. We saw some great things. That's all we have for tonight.
Thank you. Next on our agenda tonight, I have Mr. Stephen Burris with a presentation.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Thanks for the opportunity to come up. My name is Steve Burris, and I am representing the Alabama American Legion Post 520. Give you a little history about myself. I did over 30 years in the Air National Guard, over 20 of that active duty. The last 23 was in Alaska. So I'm back home. This is where I grew up. I'm a North Stanley graduate and a Stanley Community College graduate. So it's home, and it's good to be back home. But enough about me. What's important is this program for these children that are out there. And I thought this was important enough to bring to the school board because I want to make sure that all the schools truly understand what these programs are out here that we're sponsoring. And Our post is a very small post. You know, you have 76 down at the fairgrounds, and you have us here in town, and we're working to make sure we grow and give these programs out to the community that's available. So we at our post have a lot of things we do. Veterans Assistant, we work at the hospice here, we work at the senior center. Some of you probably saw some of the pictures from the senior center that's dressed like this, going out with the 90-plus birthday party, escorting them in. Best time in the world that we ever had. But we love doing that because that gives us giving back to the community. But enough of that. It's time to give back to the community at the younger level. You know, we've got to grow young kids, and the only way we're going to grow these children to be adults and responsible and to take your position someday, hopefully, or other positions, is for them to understand it. And that's where our oratorical program comes in. The oratorical program gives an opportunity for them to learn out there what's going on. You can see from the slideshow here, it's set up as one of our pillars of Americanism and our youth programs. So it'll go forward with growing them to learn about working in government. There's two parts of this, and I'm not going to read this. You guys are very educated. You can read this well. In the military, I never read a slide. I hated that. If you're going to give me a slide to read, then don't stand there and waste my time. So you can go through all that. But the important part is right here, the two parts of the program. The first part is a prepared oratorical that they'll have to present. It's all laid out as to what it is. That's the topic, and they have 8 minutes minimum, maximum of 10 minutes. They'll come and give that presentation. While they're there, once they all finish, we will draw from a topic an impromptu speech. I'll use impromptu rather than what they use here as random selected topics. And they have a period there to only have 3 minutes minimum, 5 minutes maximum. They'll prepare that after they finish their other speech. So that's what this is for. It's to get out there. Now, so what? Our post dates or our contest dates are listed here for you. We have not set the exact date. We will get that. I do have packages built for each of the high schools, including Greystone, and I also have reached out to the homeschoolers here in the county so they know about the program too. So we'll be putting that out for everybody to compete. That's the goal, to get as many as we can out there. We're probably going to be around the 11th of January. We did that purposely. That's a Saturday. And the purpose for that is they're through midterms, they're through that, they have time to prepare for this. So we're trying to look out for the children's and your schedule too. So we have award levels. We're still working on our award level. We were just having a discussion. I have our post-finance officer, Alan Lawrence, here with me as well. And we were just discussing that. I talked with the district commander day before yesterday. They're not exactly sure either. They're waiting on some funds to come in, so we'll know about the district division. But we know for a fact that at the state, first place is $2,500, second $15,000, $1,000, and $1,000, as you see. The key is looking at that national level. If you get a student that gets up to the national level, you're looking at $25,000 for a scholarship for them. How far will that go for school? That's what this is about. So, as again, that's the oratorical piece of this. Second part, Boys State. So I really hate podiums. I have to tell you, I do, and I'm trying not to dance around this thing because I want to just walk around because I always did. And I project pretty well, so I don't know that I need the microphone. However, with Boys State, it sounds chauvinistic. Well, there's a Girls State too. So, you know, there's both out there. We are working on a couple programs to get our post growing, so we had to pick two, so we chose the oratorical and the Boys State. For a couple reasons. One, I'm a Boys State graduate. Believe it or not, from when I was at North Stanley, I was actually selected and had no concept what the American Legion was or anything about it or what it did. But now, coming back and becoming an officer and going through and learning that the American Legion's been in existence since 1919, and these are the programs they put out there. We all know about the 1940 baseball plaque that's down here on 52, right? But did you know that the national baseball tournament's always held in Shelby now? It's permanently moved to Shelby. It's a big deal for North Carolina. But anyway, back to Boys State. A junior's selected, they'll go off to Boys State. It's a week long. It's at Catawba. When I went, it was at Wake Forest. And they learn government. They will have elections in the process. They will be given positions. I was the chairman of the chairman of the Department of Agriculture. So that's where I ended up when I was there. And you go through all the budgeting process, everything, including the election process, so you understand how it works. And today being election day, I think this is a very important time to talk about how important it is that our students know what elections are. And this Boys State gives them an opportunity. Girls State does the same. So those are a couple things that are out there. The cost is $500 for attendee. We have already agreed at our post we will pay for one. So once we get a candidate from that, they will be vetted through, and if we have more than one, we'll have to select the best candidate. That's our goal. Just because we can only pay for one doesn't mean other kids can't go. Right, last year they had about 150. They're looking at, they'd love to get back to the 300 number that it used to be when I went. So that's the goal. If parents can pay, great. If there's folks out there who have businesses who are thinking about sponsoring something, a program for our children, hey, come see us. We'll be glad to. We are C19, and we'll be glad to take your money and send it off for those kids so they can go learn this stuff. So these are all the objectives that the Boys State program has, and there's a whole lot of good stuff in there, but it's a lot of words. The fact is it teaches them Americanism and how important is Americanism today. So here's the application process. It's all online process. They would go in and apply. It would go from them to their parents via DocuSign. The parents would sign, then it would come to our post because they will have to put in post 520. It'll come over to our post. Then we'll hold them till we can get everybody together, make our selection, then we'll forward on up the one that we have selected that we're going to pay for, and we will work with whoever the other ones are and pay for, see if we can get them paid for in some way and get them there too. Then, of course, that goes into Boys Nation program. Boys Nation is just that. They take a couple out of each state, they take them up to national, they do the same thing at the national level. Some past folks of Boys Nation: Bill Clinton, Mike Pence, Mike Huckabee, and many others. So there's a whole list out there that you can look at on the American Legion National website. So that's what we're trying to do, is we're trying to get in with our young folks and help them understand Americanism and why we do this and why we wear this. So I believe that was my last slide other than my contact info. And this is my opportunity to thank you and to thank the high schools for all the veterans in this county for what you're going to do next week, this week and next week. The programs are out there are amazing. We've got folks going. I'm going to be at North Stanley, of course, go figure. But I'm very proud to know that the schools are doing that in honor of our veterans, and we appreciate it. So, any questions from you?
I don't think any questions, but I know you're going to have some good food because we saw them preparing it earlier this week. So
Outstanding.
At North when we toured, but Mr. Plummer, you do have all this information, and you can push this out to our students, and our teachers said that they're aware of the program and
That's great.
when
And
to
if-
apply and everything.
And if each school, it has my contact, if each school just get a hold of me, we'll make sure that we get them the packet with all this information that each of you have up there. And that's what they have, is the official rules, it's the brochure about it, as well as the flyers that can go around on the walls. And I also give you a flyer on the Boys State program, so you have a little more information about that.
Thank you. I just wanted to
Madam Chair, I have a comment.
Yes, ma'am.
First of all, thank you for your presentation, and thank you for your service and everything that you've done. I know that I used to, in my classes, it was a big unit that I would do on public speaking. Now, of course, I taught 8th grade, and I know yours is, the oratorical is geared toward high school.
It can be. The oratorical actually is open to anyone who is under age 21 by the time the national program kicks off. It's preferred to look at high school because we are thinking about them preparing for college. However, it could be, they could compete. It's just going to be a little harder competition probably for an 8th grader. But
Right.
yes, ma'am.
Right. Well, I think it's just extremely important. I'm sure all of us do up here. It's extremely important for students to learn how to speak,
Yes, ma'am.
you know, in front of others. And of course, with civics, our government classes in our high school, and Americanism, I mean, yes, this is so valuable in today's world, and they are our leaders for tomorrow. I'm glad that Mr. Plummer has, you know, all of the information, and, you know, I'm hoping, we have a veteran up here on our school board, but I'm hoping that we have several students in our high schools and all that can take this and, you know, and really want to be a part of this and see it grow.
Yes, ma'am. That's our goal too. The last time we did this, we only had one applicant from the entire county. So that's why it'd be very important. We'd like to see folks. It's good for competition in
Right.
anything you do. So
Right.
it would mean a lot to us to make sure that happens
Yes.
too.
Yes. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Madam Chair, I do have one question. Mr. Burrow,
Yes, sir.
thank you. For the oratorical program, is there like a website or social media that the younger folks
Yes,
or we
sir.
could distribute out?
Absolutely. On that full-page flyer, the single flyer, there's QR code that takes you right to the American Legion website that
Okay.
gives you all the rules, including the rules that they have, which are the official rules that give all the outline of the program and how it works, including the judges' scoring criteria. There's nothing secret about this program. It is a very open program because it's only fair that they know what they're being judged against.
Okay, great, thank you.
Yes, sir.
I have one final thing.
Yes, ma'am.
And Mr. Plummer, I know all of this would fit in our course of study, our curriculum, right?
Very, I mean, even in English language arts and speaking and listening,
Mhm.
it would definitely entail several standards across the board, social studies and ELA.
So we met last week for our quarterly state meeting, and in the oratorical, we were discussing this very thing, and it seemed that most of the schools that were really involved and really getting participants were actually coming through the civics classes you mentioned earlier, ma'am. So that was just a thought that they threw out, and I was like, hey, that's not a bad idea. I said, well, I think I'm briefing the school board next week, so I'll talk to them about that. So
Right.
they're like, oh, my gosh.
Well, I can
So-
see that interdisciplinary study unit through civics, social studies, as well as the English language arts department, and I want to see our students be a part of oratorical and public speaking.
Yes, ma'am.
It seems like that in years past, and Mr. Plummer, you can correct me if I'm wrong, it seems like in years past, we might have had a little bit more than now, somewhat recently. Am I correct in kind of thinking that?
I think you're right.
And so I would like to see, us get back to that.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Madam Chair.
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Burris and also Mr. Lawrence, I'd just like to thank both of you for your service, but also too for investing, in our youth. Sometimes we forget to do that, so I think that's very important. So I do appreciate that. And with Veterans Day coming next week, we just want to thank you for your service. I'd like to also recognize my father-in-law, who just turned 97, and he is a World War II vet. He actually will be the Grand Marshal of the Veterans Day Parade this year.
Yes, he will.
So he is really excited about that. I appreciate you guys. I assume it was probably the both of you that went out and visited him. Mr. Lawrence, I think
Actually,
you were. And
yeah.
so we appreciate that. He is truly honored to be able to do that. So
Mr.
thank
Hart.
you so much.
Mr. Hart's a great man. He means a lot to me as a World War II vet. For me to be able to sit and talk with him means the world. So
He lit up like a child at Christmas when I asked him.
So we couldn't have thought anybody better to recommend to Bo, and that Bo was like, absolutely. So we were very honored that Mr. Hart's going to be able to do that.
Thank you so much.
Yes, ma'am.
Just a real quick point for Mr. Plummer. The CTSOs have competitions in prepared speech and extemporaneous speaking. The crossover here is probably pretty close. Might want to mention that to Mandy for the Skills USA kids and the FFA kids.
And I just want to say, when you speak on Americanism and learning about our area, before I met my husband and we started dating, I did not know that his grandfather was a part of the baseball team that's on the plaque down here. So I learned all about that and got to do some reading and a little bit of a history lesson from him on that. So I just appreciate all that you guys do, and thank you for your service. And thank you for coming and presenting tonight and seeking out the involvement of our students and investing back in our students. So thank you very much.
I was one and somebody did it for me, so it's the least I can do is pay that back. So thank you.
Thank you.
Next on our agenda tonight is closed session. So I'll now entertain a motion to go into closed session for personnel matters, NC General Statute 143-318.11A6, student matters, NC General Statute 143-318.11A1, and attorney-client matters, NC General Statute 143-318.11A3.
Move we go into closed session.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor? Any opposed? We are now in closed session. I'm going to call us back into open session at this time. Next up on the agenda is item F. That is public participation at board meetings. In accordance with policy 2310, public participation at board meetings each month, part of at least one regularly scheduled board meeting will be set aside for citizens to address the board through public comment. Each speaker will receive 3 minutes to present comments. However, the public comment session will not exceed 15 minutes total, except by the majority vote of the board. Please see the policy for additional information. Tonight we have one person signed up to speak, Mr. Terrence Harris. Did I say that correctly? Okay, thank you.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Torrance Harris. I'm from Baden, North Carolina. I grew up in New London area. I went to North Stanley High School, but I've come to talk to you guys about Albemarle Middle School. Last year, my little niece attended Central Elementary School, and not knowing what we were getting into, we decided let's let her go to the middle school. Fine and dandy. But the things that have come up in my eyes at the middle school are when you got kids who don't have anything to do outside of sports. These kids are important. These kids go to a neighborhood, you don't know what's going to happen in this neighborhood from day to day. And not having sports for some of these kids can be a drainer. I'm here to ask the board to let's see how we can come up with funding for Albemarle Middle School so that we can get all their sports in line. They're missing track team, they're missing cross country, they're missing baseball. Right now it's basketball, and if we had it, we could have a wrestling team. We had 43 guys try out for our basketball team. We can't keep with 16. And at that point, find something to do from 3:30 to 5 or 3:30, not being a babysitter, but most of the mothers that are working, you know, all these sports kick into their time. And I would definitely much rather have them at the school doing something than getting a phone call saying you need to go get them from the jail, or getting a phone call from my other job saying I need to go pick them up off the side of the road. And when I say pick them up off the side of the road, I mean they've done something, or somebody's gotten mad, or if they got caught in the crossfire. And this is after hours. My next thing is the hoodie situation. I understand that each school has their own policies with hoodies, but we're carrying kids from one class to the next class to the next class for something that the last class did. A whole different group of kids have to be disciplined in this kind of way because these kids did this or these kids did that. You can't do that. Like, if it's each school, then every school should have the same policy, no hoodies. Like, it's only fair. I mean, I wake up and go to Baton where my little nephew's at. He's getting on the bus with a hoodie on, and I come over here and got to send my niece to school at Albemarle, and she got to take her hoodie off at the door. You know what I mean? Take it off at the door. Now I'm walking around with a cold head all day. Same goes for when we're leaving sports. We're leaving sporting activities. They've been cheering, jumping, flipping, running. The basketball team's been up and down this court. They're sweating. What's going to happen next? We're going to go out the door in this cold air, and now I got 4 kids out sick tomorrow because they done got a fever or something from the weather. My next thing on the agenda is fixing things in our schools. When you walk into one of our schools, and mind you, this school sits on the corner of Baden Road and the Northeast Connector. If no other example of what Stanley County schools should look like, that one should be it. Millions and millions of cars pass this intersection. And you look up at this school, what do you think people says? That's a mess. I mean, you walk up, when you drive into this parking lot, there's leaves up and down each way. The grass is not groomed up. I mean, I called for 4 weeks trying to get somebody to mow grass so the cheerleaders could cheer and not be in knee-deep grass. I couldn't get nobody. You know what I did? I went home and got my mower. I took a risk of taking my mower out there and breaking a blade or something on it, and then there go another $105. You know what I mean? And it's just like, it's like nobody cares. And I know you guys care. I don't know if it's just not been brought to your attention. And at this point in time, it's getting worse and worse. Like, you go in there, nobody knows what this is, nobody knows what that is. I don't know. I mean, the other week actually this week, me and Coach Delaney reset the bleachers at the gym. He came and said, man, these bleachers will not come out. I said, they got to come out. They don't die. I mean, it's a fuse that keeps these things running, a fuse and 4 motors with flipping switches on the front. All you got to do is get in there and push this fuse and flip these switches. Guess what we did after practice? I pushed this fuse in, we flipped these switches. There's a basketball goal hanging. And I don't know, it looked like somebody has ran it up too far. But if this basketball goal really falls, it's going to rip everything down. You know how heavy a basketball is I mean, it needs to be looked at because this is just something that's there. I mean, a kid walks up under it, and in my days, they called it widow making. They ain't old enough to understand that, but that's what's going to happen. It's going to hurt somebody. It's actually going to kill somebody. This is a basketball goal. I mean, anything give away with that goal swinging like that, it's going to fall, boom. And they done.
Mr. Harris, I hate to interrupt you, but your 3 minutes is up.
Well,
But can you email the board, or if you'll see Mr. Plummer before you leave, he can give you an email for you to send us the rest of. I think you might have had some more things on your list, the rest of your concerns, and we can kind of get back with you.
Oh yeah. Well, I got it set up. We will work it out.
I appreciate you coming
And
tonight.
I just want y'all help. Like the middle school, y'all got to
Yes,
think
sir.
about it. Honestly, I know my 3 minutes is up, but sitting at the Northeast Connector and Baton Road, all that traffic, what better school to say, hey, look what our schools look like?
I understand.
You know what I mean? And like when you pull up on it, it don't look like that. Look like I want to put my head down sometime.
Thank you. I
You know what I mean?
appreciate you waiting, and thank you for speaking to
Yeah,
us
thank
tonight.
y'all for letting me speak.
Thank you.
Yep, thank you. Yep.
Next up on our agenda tonight is the approval of the consent agenda.
I move we approve the consent agenda.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion or additions? All in favor? Any opposed? Okay, that has passed. Committee reports, I will start with facilities and Ms. Whitaker.
We have definitely been out visiting the facilities the last couple of weeks, and we have some additional visits that we'll do tomorrow in the western end. So that's been really good. We've enjoyed going out and seeing what's going on in our schools. We have had a meeting. We have another meeting scheduled for tomorrow. Our update on Indy, things seem to be moving along there. Probably a little behind schedule, but I know they're working really hard to try to get things back on track. The roof is on there. Keith told me tonight, they've pulled the wiring. They have the plumbing roughed in. All the IT components have been pulled out there. And he has started doing some interior selections to try to narrow things down so we can get the staff involved in that. If you haven't had an opportunity to go out there, I know we've had one visit out there. I don't think all of us were able to go then. So if you have not been able to go out, I think we have that scheduled maybe on another one of our visits, but it would definitely be worth your time to go out and just take a look. The building looks really large. The classrooms look large. I hope once it's finished, they continue to look that size, but I know sometimes they shrink once you get everything in there, but we're really pleased with that. So I appreciate all the hard work that Mr. Banton and his staff have been doing. So that's it.
Thank you. Finance, Mr. Lisk.
No meeting for the month, Madam Chair.
Instructional, Ms. Gibson.
No report. I do think we have a meeting coming up that we're getting scheduled. So that'll be sent out by Hope.
Next up is personnel, and that's with Dr. Leffler, and he is not with us tonight, but I do not believe they have had a meeting. Policy, Ms. Watson.
No report, but we're going to have to get a meeting scheduled.
Safety and security, Mr. Swanson.
Thank you, Madam Chair. We just met this afternoon before the main board meeting. The submarine service is called the silent service because a lot of things happen behind the scenes you're not allowed to talk about. But Ms. Hogan and what I call her Hogan's Heroes, the folks up here at the county office, are moving mountains to address our students' safety, security, and student well-being, and I appreciate it. There's lots of things we can't talk. I can tell you this, where we were, where we are, where we're going, 3 different places as far as protecting our children. Thank you.
Thank you. Next is curriculum and instruction candidates for early graduation.
Thank you, Madam Chair, members of the board. Per Stanley County Schools Board of Education Policy 3460, I bring to you tonight a list of high school students who have submitted applications for early graduation. Seniors meeting all state and local graduation requirements may apply for early graduation. A school-based committee that includes the principal, a school counselor, and at least one former teacher of the student shall meet with the parent and student and evaluate the merits and liabilities of early graduation. The committee shall make a recommendation to the superintendent, who will present it to the board for final action. So you have the list tonight of who we are looking at for early graduates for 2024-2025, and we just need approval for them to graduate in December, and then we'll participate in graduation ceremonies in May.
So board members, you have that list in board docs, and I will now entertain a motion to approve the candidates for early graduation.
I move we approve the candidates that's been presented for early graduation, and they will walk in May.
Have a motion? And a second. Any discussion?
Mr. Plummer, is this list longer than it normally is?
It is obviously a little longer in some cases, and I think part of that just comes from COVID obviously did not help us in just trying to expedite some of those processes, and then also now within the state laws, we are having to look at other tracks for graduation as well, and trying to look for places where students can cancel out some of those courses that may count for an additional math, count for an additional English, and then also try to add in as many of those CCP courses as well to help them beyond high school.
I think another thing that has to be mentioned is, like you said, general statute changed about a year ago. And originally, the Board of Education could put forth measures for which a student could apply to graduate with a 21 or 22 credit diploma, depending on the time. Now the general statute, the way it's written, there can be nothing as an impediment to the child. Once they get the 22 credits to graduate, they automatically graduate. So now what we feel is happening is a lot of students know that now, and when they decide to leave, they just leave. There can be no interference from the school system.
We can't hold a local, where the state says 22, we can't now say 28, or we can't add a graduation project onto it. 22 is the 22 across the board.
Mr. Plummer, I think reading the policy, the students cannot participate in athletics. Am I reading that correctly?
Correct. That excuse me, is part of that process, and students are made aware of that in those conversations
And
with
that
the
starts
school.
If the board approves this list from
Correct.
here through the end of school.
Well, it would be past first semester.
Past first,
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah, during second
That's an
semester.
irreversible decision.
Correct.
And it says school-based activities at the discretion of the principal. What exactly does that mean?
So
What activities?
that's going to come back into prom.
Prom, yeah.
That's really the biggest thing that really comes back in. A lot of senior committees have senior trips in the spring, so there would be that determining
Trips,
factor. If they go
clubs,
to Carowinds for a senior day, or if they have a senior luncheon, that would be at the discretion of the school at that point.
Okay.
Thank you.
Any other questions for Mr. Plummer?
But Mr. Plummer, these students that graduate early like this, are they going ahead and enrolling in college so they can start early?
That is part of the process of what we have to be able to show and put into our graduation reports. In a lot of cases, we see a lot of students who are leaving and going to the workforce, more so than what we see leaving and going to necessarily a four-year college. That's been part of that conversation too. If you stay with us for that extra semester even, that's potential of additional classes that you could even get through CCP, Stanley Community College, to continue that paid for versus it falling back on them once they graduate. Because once they graduate, that CCP opportunity leaves them as well.
But they would have a hard time getting into, especially University of North Carolina universities, unless they've taken a lot of classes for high school credit in middle school, because they won't have had all the classes they need for all, especially like foreign language, some of the electives they need to get into the UNC system.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. If there are no other questions, I will now ask for a vote. So, all in favor? Any opposed? Okay, that's
Thank
passed.
you.
Thank you. We have personnel with Ms. Hedrick.
Good evening, Madam Chair and board members. This evening, I respectfully request your approval of the November 5th personnel agenda. Section 1 is just for your information. It does not require your action, but Section 2 does require a vote.
Board members, you have the personnel agenda that we went over earlier. I will now entertain a motion to approve Section 2.
Motion to approve.
Have a motion?
Second.
And a second. All in favor? Any opposed? This is passed. Thank you.
Thank you.
Dr. Dennis, superintendent comments?
Yeah, I'll be brief. So I do want to just acknowledge some upcoming events, weeks, things like that. November the 11th to the 15th is School Psychology Week. November the 5th, of course, today's Election Day. November the 11th is Veterans Day. For that, I would like to thank all my brothers and sisters in arms for what they did and putting their life on line to serve our country. November 22nd is Substitute Educators Day. The 28th, of course, is Thanksgiving. And the month is Native American Month. And before I close out, I just want to also congratulate, I know North Stanley High School volleyball. They made it really close to getting into the finals, had a really good year. West Stanley did as well, but North Stanley, they played McMichael, who was ultimately the winner of the state championship. So congratulations to them. And I do want to reiterate my thanks to the social workers and the counselors who were able to go to Buncombe County to help out and volunteer to go and help out with that effort. Thank them a lot again. There were a lot across the state, but I'm very proud of the ones from Stanley County that were able to go. That's all I have. Thank you.
Board member comment, Mr. Lisk?
Well, it's election night, so I'm going to keep this quick. First of all, it's Veterans Day coming up, and Mr. Bill Sorensen here is one of our veterans. I've got lots of family member and friends, and I want to thank them for their service to our country. I think it's Mrs. Blazer in Norwood and her assistant principal, and I can't remember her name, that I read in the article today before I came about raising the money at Norwood, which I thought was awesome. They sat on the roof and I think raised $12,500 or something like that. I'm not doing them any service with the explanation, but the bottom line is they're thinking outside the box and how we can solve some of our facilities issues that we have here. Out in Locust, the PTA, I believe, has raised, is doing a project to replace the playground equipment, which is really, really old. We've got, I think, some local vendors that are sort of helping out. It's about a $90,000 value worth of the project getting done for maybe in the $50,000. So they do a great job raising money, and some of the municipalities don't have as much money as the others, but I think it is a model just getting the community involved, just like in Norwood, just thinking outside the box and finding other ways to help the school system and find our needs. So I want to thank all of them. And regardless of how you voted or what happens tonight, let's keep it classy. And one last thing for Dr. Leffler, I know he's coming up on his last meeting and he's not here tonight. He had a hard fall and ripped a muscle from his hip And so he's in a lot of pain, but he has served admirably in this board, I think, and especially through a very tough time. So we hope he comes back for the last meeting next month as Mrs. Allman comes on board, and that we can honor him as he so deserves. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. And I was just going to add, Ms. Heron also told us they've got a big project going out there at Baden. I know you weren't on that visit, for a playground out there too, so they got something coming up for that out there. So
That's awesome, because being somewhat involved in the Locust project, I hear that the companies that provide the playground equipment say Stanley County has the oldest and the worst playground equipment in the area.
That's something we want to be proud of. But I'm glad we're working on that. Ms. Watson.
I want to say that the Stanley Stars is a great thing. I think that we've started, and hopefully we'll be able to keep that going. And the veterans, my husband is one, and I hope Veterans Day is a good day for them. A lot of our schools are participating in that. Yeah. And we're looking at the holidays, so I hope the kids really enjoy that whenever it comes. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Sorensen.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Start out by telling all the Stanley County veterans, my fellow veterans, thank you for your service. I also look forward to attending North Stanley's Veteran Appreciation Breakfast tomorrow, South Stanley's on Friday, and that one at Albemarle next week. You can tell I'm an old Navy guy. We don't pass up free food. That's the way that works. I hope other vets are attending these events also, not only to be recognized, what you've done, you guys and gals have done is admirable, but to show the students that service lives among us in our neighborhoods and in our communities. It's a great lesson for younger folks, and all four traditional high schools are hosting one, which I wish I could hit them all, but just can't work that way out. Prepare a short shout out to Dr. Leffer. As Dustin mentioned, he's not with us tonight. He's recovering from a medical issue. This would have been his final board meeting, and I had hoped to comment in his presence on the huge contributions he has made to our board. From day one, he was a voice advocating for both students and staff alike. He pushed for and fought for equal opportunity for all students vehemently, and he also fought for rigor and higher expectations, which is those are some new buzzwords. We're seeing the benefits of those now, thanks to Dr. Leffer, the board, and the efforts of our superintendent and his curriculum team. I want to thank you for your service to our children, Dr. Leffer. It did not go unnoticed or unappreciated. Speaking of serving on this body, I feel it's an appropriate time to reflect on what serving on this board is actually like. These folks might not want to hear this, but that's okay. It's a thankless, frustrating, complex, inspiring at times, and heartbreaking at others, and improbable, if not impossible, job. It's being tasked with building mansions with toothpicks and Elmer's glue. It's being tasked to provide for 8,000 plus children with not only an education, but safety, security, and love. I would go so far as to say it's almost as impossible as the job Dr. Dennis does, almost. His job is almost as impossible as the expectations all of our administrators face on a daily basis. And their jobs are almost as impossible as the tasks our teachers and staff face on the daily. I thank God above for the impossibilities that are made possible, but more so I thank God for the amazing people that are Stanley County schools. From my insanely devoted colleagues up here, you have no idea the conversations that take place in private. These people care about your kids. To our superintendent, our principals, our APs, teachers, assistants, bus drivers, custodians, food and nutrition workers. I'm also extremely grateful for an amazing central office staff and support groups. You have no idea how much these people do behind the scenes and how much they're all invested in your children, Stanley County. These folks, too, are doing the impossible with bare-bone resources and doing it very well. It truly is a miracle that so many people in so many different roles all work so hard for our kids. It's miraculous, actually, and it gives me faith in the human race that so many people do so much for the children. Stanley County, your children are receiving a solid education. Your children are loved and cared for by so many different folks. The good Lord knows there is so much more work to do and so many problems and obstacles to address, but I thank God for the folks that daily work for our beautiful children. Stanley County Schools is doing the impossible. We visit the children occasionally, and truthfully, those are some of my most inspired and happy days. I get to see the fruits of the labor of all these wonderful people. I get to see the impossible made possible by way too many people, too many folks to mention by name. I am grateful, but we have much to do. I implore all of Stanley County citizens to take an interest and become active in our schools and our future. A gentleman came up and spoke tonight. That's a prime example. Join us in making the impossible possible. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Gibson?
Well, I don't know how to follow that, but I echo everything that Mr. Sorensen has said, and of course I thank him for his service, and Dr. Dennis, and all of our veterans. We've visited some schools lately, and that's always a highlight for me, and I know it is every other board member, and truly just a huge shout out to our administrators, our teachers, our staff, our students that work so hard, and we see such wonderful, wonderful things in those classrooms, and it's amazing. So I echo what Mr. Sorensen said. Our children are being educated well and by the best, and they work hard, and I am so appreciative of our teachers. Certainly congratulations to our Stanley Stars and the Buncombe County Volunteers. A huge shout out to Central Elementary School for their award, and as they move forward, I think, in competition. And it was nice having Brooke Davis here, visiting Richfield just yesterday and seeing the American Sign Language pictures and everything. You can just tell what a close-knit family that is, and then the fun they had out there with all their inflatables. I hate I missed that. That was spectacular. And I really enjoyed Mr. Stephen Burris, his presentation on the oratorical and the Boys State. I'm looking forward, Mr. Plummer, to seeing, how we can incorporate that and maybe have some of our students to really take advantage of this and maybe win some great prize and money there. I appreciate that. And to Dr. Leffler, I wish him well, and I have enjoyed serving with him on the board. Thank you.
Ms. Whitaker?
I was going to try to hit on some things that they had not hit on, but when you're last, that's hard to do. So
I have to go very last now.
I know. I do want to thank Mr. Sorensen. I appreciate what you said. There's so much truth to all of that. So, but I did want to just say congratulations to Central School for their Distinguished School Award. That truly is a testament to not only that staff, but the students and the community as a whole there for working together. For those who volunteered and went to Buncombe County, that says so much about those three individuals who were willing to take their time and do that. And so we are very appreciative of that. I think that tells you a lot of what our staff is made of. To Brooke Davis at Richfield, I missed the school visit where we were able to go there this week. It's always a treat to go in there because she always has such high energy. But I just appreciate the extra mile that her staff is going for the special needs students. Sometimes we are correct. Sometimes they get overlooked, and so I appreciate her doing the extra things for those students. For Dr. Leffler, my sidekick down here, I hate that he's not here tonight, and I do wish him a speedy recovery, but he will truly be missed on this board, and he has definitely been an asset. So I look forward to seeing him next month. I hope he's able to be with us. I wish you all a happy Thanksgiving. We have so much to be thankful for in our county and in our city, but just in our state as a whole. And so I wish all of you a very happy Thanksgiving and hope you get to spend some time with your families. Thank you.
Thank you. I'll just start off with thank you, Ms. Whitaker. I know you did some service in the Western Mountains there for a little bit too, so I appreciate you going up there and doing what you did. But a huge shout out to our staff members that went and did service in Buncombe County, because the need was vast, and I just really appreciate them taking the time out to do that, because again, that's something outside of their normal job duties, just as with Ms. Davis. And the things that she was doing to include students that sometimes aren't always included in hallway chats or playground play. So I just really appreciate that, especially coming from a parent that has a child with special needs. Acceptance is one thing, but inclusion is something totally different. So when you're going above and beyond, that's why I kind of asked that we bring her in and just kind of give her a little high five, pat on the back for doing those things, because that's not in her normal daily job duties to put up ASL signs in the hallway. So I really appreciate that. Huge shout out to the veterans. Thank you. We appreciate you. Anybody that has served in any capacity, and the families of those folks. So thank you, Mr. Sorensen and Dr. Dennis. I want to say I do wish Dr. Leffler a speedy recovery. I hate he's not here tonight. I do hope that he can join us in December so that we can honor him. I spent a lot of time campaigning with him when we came on this board. Me and him were out there day in and day out for that early vote, and that 2020 year was something else. I don't think we thought what we were getting into when we signed up. You were right, Mr. Ellis. We had some interesting times there in the beginning. We went through some rough things, and he always tried to keep students first, I think, in his mind, and equity was big for him, and so I really appreciate that. He fought hard for those things, and hopefully he will join us, and we can honor him on his last few days of service on this board. But it has been a pleasure to work with him, and just really appreciate his service to our county and our schools. Wish everybody a happy Thanksgiving, and I think that's all I have tonight. The date and time of our next board meeting will be Tuesday, December 3rd, 2024 in the Gene McIntyre room at 6:15. And if there is nothing else, I will now entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Have a motion and a second. All in favor? We are adjourned. Thank you.